Welcome to The Clean Slate, a podcast where we chat about facilities management, commercial cleaning, and keeping the working world safe, clean, efficient, and free from risk. I'm your host, Trista Sobek. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Clean Slate podcast. I am your host, Trista Sobek. Today on the show, we have Jacqui Jones, who is CEO and founder of Way We Do, which is a company in Australia that has a platform that houses process documents and SOPs for other companies. This was a very fun conversation that I had, and I hope you enjoyed as well, because we talk about how documentation and processes are really at the crux of everything you do. And for our purposes, we focus on franchisees and why franchisees can kind of just follow the process and concentrate on building their business. But what happens when somebody doesn't want to follow a process or has found a better way to do something? What are the ways a franchisee can go about, changing things? There are ways to do that as well. So, this conversation was really fun and insightful, and I hope you enjoy it. Again, this is Jacqui Jones from Way We Do in Australia. Welcome to the Clean Slate. How are you doing today?
Hi, Trista. Well, thank you. Really good to see you again.
You as well. So you are in Australia, and you are founder and CEO of Way We Do, and you have a really interesting company and something that is piqued our interest because of our franchise side of the house. So can you tell us a little bit about what Way We Do does and how you got into that as well?
Certainly. So Way We Do is a process management platform, and it's for organizations that have complex processes, ensuring they miss nothing again in their processes. And so with the Way We Do platform, it's all about documenting your procedures and processes. It's about training and getting the team to adopt your procedures and processes. And then it's looking at process governance. So is our team implementing and doing all the things according to the procedures of our operations manual and the systems that we have in place? I started the company because we had our own problems. So we were a software business. We were onboarding new employees, and we needed to train them and onboard them into the company so that they were productive as quickly as possible, and for them to learn the systems and processes and understand the responsibilities of their role. And when we launched Way We Do, we saw that other companies had exactly the same problem. So small businesses, large businesses. So it's a problem that impacts every single business and organization on the planet. And we really wanted to create a product that was easy to use, that helps organizations drive consistency in their organizations. So that's the key word there, consistency. And it's a really great outcome to have for every business.
Yeah, it's fascinating because how you said you found that every company has the same kind of problems with processes. And it's almost like that's a little bit of a behavioral issue, and I know I have one of the questions later on, but when you're talking about processes and documenting, what are some of the ways from a behavioral side, from a human behavior side, can you get people to follow processes when, they may not want to follow processes, that's kind of the way humans act.
Yes. So I think it starts with good leadership. And so the leaders of the organization need to be able to communicate the importance of following procedure and process. And then you need to take people on a journey. So when things change within an organization, it's important to have representatives from the team, some of the employees participate in that change process, and then once that new process has been defined and they're about to roll it out to the team, it's all about change management. So I feel that leaders need to become change management experts. So whether you're a franchisor or a franchisee or an owner of a business, you need to develop really good change management skills and to be able to communicate the change that is required, because ultimately we're implementing transformation in the business. And what that looks like is it's not just saying, here's the procedure, you go away and follow it, because that's essentially just leaving people on their own, like to their own devices, which they may interpret what you've written in a different way to what you intended. So you really need to carry out training, so offering training, giving space for people to ask questions, and for them to understand the importance of, why, the big why. Why are we doing it this way? And some of those reasons can come back to it's all about we want to drive consistency in the business. It's about communication, that we're together here as a team, that we work together as a team. And if you've got little lone wolves going off doing their own thing, then, that's not great for the brand. That's not great for the team. So in order for us to really excel and deliver upon our promise to our customers, we need to do things in a consistent way. And so it's educating people, and then sometimes people don't always adopt it because they meaningfully went out of their way to disregard the procedure. Sometimes it just happens by accident. So again, it's about leadership identifying those issues, and other team members as well. So it's all about the team working together, and just letting people know, like, hey, this is the way that we do it, and this is the reason why it's important, and let's address this issue. And maybe that means we need to change the process. Maybe we need to make it easier. Maybe it's more training's required. So it's really, from a leadership perspective, understanding the issues why people are not adopting. But it's really about training, support, and reviewing what people are doing, and again, providing more support and conversations around following and adopting procedure and process.
Yeah, because I was just thinking the company, the franchisor, can learn a lot, watching and kind of observing what the franchisees are doing if they're not following it. Like if there's a lot of people not following it, like asking and finding, is there a problem with our procedures? Like there might be a problem or an issue.
Absolutely. And it could be that the procedure or the process, so the process is the steps of the process, the procedure is how you do that work. And so it could be that the process is inefficient, and then your people who are on the ground doing the process, maybe they're finding a better way, but that doesn't mean that people should go, right, we're just going to change the process, we're going to do it our own way. We want the whole team to come on that journey with us. So we need to be able to communicate and suggest ideas and improvements, and as a leadership team, really embrace those new ideas that are coming in, and then discuss and understand why we would want to change the existing process to be something better, and if that makes sense for the organization. So sometimes it doesn't make sense, but we need to ensure that our people feel like they're being heard, and that their ideas are being considered as well. And we need to help them, if it's not the right fit, for the organization, because we've got this tried and tested, proven methodology and process, and it doesn't make sense to try changing it, or maybe we've done it that way before and it didn't work, or so it's about having those conversations and then making decisions around what is the best path forward. So just because you have procedure and process doesn't mean things are set, in concrete. We've got the ability to change, and as organizations, we need to embrace change, because the world around us is constantly changing, and there's new technologies and and perhaps there are steps of the process that can be removed, or maybe the order of steps can be changed around, or maybe we need to automate steps or outsource steps to the customer to reduce costs. And so there's lots of ways that you can improve process, but again, it's about creating the environment where we can have conversations about what is best for the business, and as a team, how we move forward, and as a brand, how do we move forward with those processes and systems.
Today's Clean Slate podcast is sponsored by OpenWorks Facility Management, the FM company that treats you with the respect you deserve. With multiple levels of oversight, from local service providers to regional managers to a corporate account team, OpenWorks ensures your buildings are getting exactly what they need to stay clean, compliant, and disinfected. You grow, we grow. You change, we'll adapt with you. We're tech-driven, people-powered, and focused on you. Welcome to Modern Facilities Management. Let's get back to our content. Right. Good point that everything is changing all the time, and you're going to have a lot of people with a lot of people's, especially I'm thinking for franchisees, you have a lot of people who this is their business, and they sometimes think this is the way I do it. This is the way I know best, so there has to be a lot of that dialogue and training. So documenting and having that documentation on a platform, I think is really, really important. I have a question. Have you studied systems learning or process learning, or did you just kind of fall into this?
So my background has been in business management, and one of the areas I have studied is business process management. There is a standard for process management. It's called BPMN 2.0. So it's an international standard, and it's the way that business processes are documented. And so you don't need to reinvent the wheel. It already exists. And so our platform way we do is built upon that standard, that methodology, in a very simple way to make it easy for franchisors and franchisees and employees to follow systems and processes. So I think anyone can learn business process management. You don't have to go to uni you can, there is definitely, it is a professional discipline. There's a whole industry built around business process management. But as a small business owner or franchisee, you don't necessarily need to go to uni. You just need to know the basics of how that works and use that type of thinking in building your own processes or following processes. And by doing so, I had a chat earlier just before our meeting, Trista, and he said that. So David said that franchisees fail at a rate of 15%, whereas normal business, a general business, small businesses fail, it's 90, 95%. It's really a high failure rate. But as a franchise operations, the failure rate is much less, and that's because they have a strong focus on a system, and it's those systems that drive consistency of brand and experience for clients and for customers, and so we really need to hold that to heart.
Hold that dear, yes, for sure.
Absolutely. And but anyone can learn process management. Is easy. You don't have to get too technical with it. But if things do get technical, bring in an expert to help.
It just has to be repeatable and get people to understand that this has been the way we've been doing this or this brand has been doing this for years and years and years. And here's why we're successful. And it's kind of like your brand in a box, for lack of a better term.
Absolutely. And I know what it's like. I think last time we spoke, I spoke about a networking group that I'm in. It's a referral group, and it's called BNI, and it's and that's a franchise system. And because lots of entrepreneurs are joining this group, our instinct is, I want to change the process. Oh, we can do this better. And I think it's just natural for people to do that, but they don't fully understand what has gone before. And so I think it's educating members and franchisees and employees why we do things in a certain way. So the why is really important, but also being open to change. So you've got traditions and then you've got change. So, tradition and innovation, but these two things do work together. They're not a paradox. They do work together, and it's important to embrace both. So if we've got our tradition of working in a certain way, we've got our processes that work and produce a repeatable, consistent outcome, then that's great. We want to keep that. But at the same time, if there's a better way of working, we can do it faster, easier, better, and it's better for the brand. It's better for consistency. It's about providing a better result to the customer. Then, yes, we need to listen and learn and then go, yes, okay, we're now prepared to implement that as a change. So I wouldn't be changing things willy-nilly because when you do that, you may be throwing out something that's really great. And so you want to recognize and keep everything that's really good about that brand and what's made it successful in the market to date.
Question. So what advice would you give to, like, I'm thinking like maybe a serial entrepreneur or somebody who's going to be new to franchising, but they've been in business for a while, to just kind of relax, follow the standards, what advice would you give to somebody?
Well, first of all, you've just bought into a system that is providing you with a proven result. So that's what you're buying. And as a business owner, it's a lot of hard work, testing and trying all those different processes to create the recipe that is successful. So someone has already done that hard thinking for you. So it's really about implementation. So it's following the system and ensuring that you're getting those good results that have already been proven. So first of all, I'd be like testing and implementing that process to the letter, because you know that you're going to get a consistent result. But I do know, like, being an entrepreneur, one of my I guess skills is creativity. My little brain is constantly looking at, well, we can make this better, we can do this differently, but sometimes that's not always the best thing to do. So I think when you buy into a franchise system, it is literally just following the bouncing ball, doing what needs to be done according to the system, and just relax. This is a time for you to grow a really successful business. All the hard work has been done for you. Don't try to erode the brand by trying to do something different and going off course, because by doing that, not only are you letting yourself down, you're letting all the other franchisees down in the system, because you're generating inconsistency. And that's definitely not good for the brand. So whether that's for a franchise brand or for your own, like as an independent business owner, so brand consistency is important. And brand is not just about the logo; it's about the whole experience. It's about the experience that your customer has with your organizations and all the touch points that they interact with your staff and your people, the brand, the product or the service. So it's really critical that you follow the system.
Yeah, it's not just I'm always doing a lot of educating. Brand is not just font and colors and like you said, a logo. It's every single touch point along the way. And for a franchisee, you have all these other franchisees that you succeed, they succeed, and also then the company succeeds.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about what your product does and, how it keeps everything together?
Certainly. So the way we do is a process management platform, and the platform helps organizations centralize their policies, procedures, and processes. And that's really important, because typically in organizations, the operations manual, the procedures, and these documents are scattered throughout the organization. And so what we do helps bring all that together in one central space for people to access. So whether they're in the office, whether they're out in the field, driving in the car, they've got access to procedure and process. And so essentially the way we do is about training the team on procedure and process, getting the team to accept policies and procedures, and then also using it for workflow so that you're capturing records of people implementing work as they do it. So when you there's a phrase which I use, which is called inspect what you expect. So as a business owner, so whether you're a franchisee owner and you're inspecting the work of your team, you want, or someone else's, maybe it's a consultant coming into the business or the franchisor's team coming in, you're wanting to see evidence that the team are actually following the system. Because by having that data, we can then look at, well, where are the gaps? How can we then make improvements? Is training required? Do we need to change the process? So you're using that data to then make decisions around what you're going to do next and how you're going to improve the process or improve the adoption of those processes.
That's really interesting. So as you were talking, I was also thinking of the other side of the use case, not just the company to the franchisee, but the franchisee to their employees, making sure they're following the processes, and which may even be harder, right?
Yes.
Because they're one removed from the company.
Yes, and just because you're a business owner or just because you're a franchisee owner, you may not have managed people before, and so you so as a franchisee, you are responsible for educating and training your team, and all the documentation, all the training materials, like everything's there for you to use. And again, it's just following the bouncing ball, getting your team on that journey with you, and for them to embrace the brand and what it represents, and take that, that together. You're on this mission together, and so as a new franchisee who's new to people management, using that as a tool, so your business operations manual is so important, because that's going to rally the team and get everyone together to follow the system. And I think, on one side you've got procedure and process, which some people go, oh, it's so boring, it's just documentation. But it doesn't have to be like that. You can make it really exciting by adding video content. You can make it interactive. You can have slideshows. In the way we do, we've got process maps, so you can see a visual representation of what that process is and which role is responsible. It's called swim lane diagrams. And then the other side of that is about leadership. So it's having conversations with people, because business is typically a people business and your customers are people. So we need to learn how to communicate and learn leadership skills, which again is part of a process. So, for example, the daily stand-up, the weekly meeting, the quarterly team meeting, the town halls, so whatever we want to call them, we're putting in place a system for management and leadership as well. And so typically as a new franchisee and who's new to management, they're learning those skills as well as learning how to run a business.
Yeah, it's really a little bit of bringing in or starting a culture or continuing a culture, isn't it? Like you're having these artifacts of the business, which would be the stand up, or these are the things we do, and so it feels like you're bringing in a little bit of culture, not just procedures, but with that comes how you want to form the culture of your franchise.
Yes, absolutely. And your procedures also represent your culture. So they should be written and created in such a way that represent the culture and the values of the organization. So if your brand is, fun and funky, then you want your procedures to be fun and funky as well. So the two, everything is like a jigsaw puzzle that fits together. And so definitely the cultural aspect needs to come through your procedures and your processes and the training that you've created.
It almost seems like the culture can start there with a company, with the procedures and documentation, not just at the office, but like from the very beginning of this is this is what we do. These are sacred.
Yes, absolutely. And particularly when you're onboarding either new franchisees or new employees into that business, that is the place to start. So so you're training and conveying to your team why this brand is important, and what mission that you're on. So what change are you bringing about in the world by delivering your product and service, and then values. So obviously, like some businesses in the brand, that they convey and communicate certain values and culture, and so that means you have to also bring on the right people that also reflect those same values as well. So if you don't have the right the phrases, if you don't have the right people on the right seats on the bus, then that's going to create resistance and issues within the business. So
the bus isn't going to go anywhere.
No, not anywhere fast. So it's really important that you've got the right team. So you're following the right recruitment processes and doing background checks and so forth. So then when you are training people about the culture and the values of the team, you're already halfway there, because they have similar values and they embrace that as well.
Very cool. Very cool. I know your company has a lot of different types of clients. What I would say twofold, what are your favorites and which are the ones that are most complex?
Good question. I haven't been asked this question before. So good question, Trista. So we've got all sorts of customers from 30 plus industries. They range from small business to large enterprise. Some of my favorite customers are those that they are small businesses, and even small businesses can have complex processes. Complex doesn't mean that's just big business. A complex process is typically a process that you can't remember fully in your head. And maybe it's, more than, 4 to 7 steps. And so some industries, and even as a small business, such as I'm thinking about like pest control, like it's a highly regulated industry. And there's lots of systems and processes and regulations that they need to be aware of, and safety, because they're handling chemicals. And so some of my favorite ones, so there's one organization, they're a small business, they're a pest control business. They're really passionate about their business. They love it, and they love their team. And I think when I first met them, they had read the E-Myth, which is a book that was written, I don't know, maybe the 80s, 70s, 80s. And it's been around for quite a while. And it's all about systematizing your business.
What's the name of that book again?
It's called The E-Myth.
The E-Myth. Okay.
Yeah, so great book for all business owners to read. So even as a franchisee, read The E-Myth. Great book. And it's written in a story format, so it makes it really easy to follow. It's a quick read as well. But this particular team, like, they're really passionate about what they do. So on one side you think, pest control, that doesn't sound too exciting. But, they're really passionate about it and they love it. And they love the other side of the business is lawn maintenance, and they're really passionate about really great lawn. And so I think so this particular team, it's a husband and wife team. They really wanted to create a business which could operate without them, that could be systematized to make it easier on them as being the owners of that business, and for them to create value in the business as they're building that business, because your business is an asset that accumulates value the more that you build it and the more that you increase sales and revenue in the business. And so they've always been meeting with us, giving us feedback around what they want to see within the way we do platform, and then we're prioritizing those features, because we're seeing real use cases where they need to have certain features in place, and that has been an excellent relationship to have with them. The more complex ones, I would say it's organizations where they even though they could be a really simple business, they create the procedures and processes, and then they go, here you go, team, you go away and you follow the procedure. And it's like, well, how successful is that going to be, really? And
the horses left the barn.
I feel like I'm hitting my head against a wall, because people need leadership, and as business owners and franchisee owners, you need to demonstrate leadership and communicate with your team and take them on that journey. And if you're not doing that, if you're just throwing something over the fence for them to use, and they don't understand the importance of why, and if you're not inspecting and seeing if people are following the procedure or process, then they're not going to care. They're going to not adopt the process. So process management is not just about documentation, it's about adoption and then governance. So you've got these 3 distinct phases of ensuring that process is being implemented in the business.
I just thought of a question. So if you're in governance, what are some ways that you've seen that businesses make sure that things are continually running like that? Do they figure out a cadence of big meetings or have check-ins? What are some of the ways that you make sure governance is being enacted?
Yes, so there's a number of ways. One is customer surveys, customer conversations. So just understanding, first of all, is your customer satisfied with the service and the product that's being delivered to them? Because your customer, they're the most important aspect of your business. They're paying your bills, essentially, and it's paying for all the salaries of your team. So we need to ensure that they are being looked after. And so we want to get feedback from them around how do they rate the service? Are there any improvements that we need to make? Also, so the next source is our team. So the team itself, when they are implementing the service, we can have like little I guess check-ins within the processes within our systems, where we're asking them, can this process be improved? Were there any issues when we delivered this product or service this week? So it's just gaining that information from the team. They're at the coalface, and so we need to trust what they're telling us around what's happening in the marketplace. We can also implement what are called internal audits. So you may have an office manager, you may have someone who's dedicated to compliance within your organization. You may have an external coach or a consultant that comes into your business that then conducts an audit. And an audit is really, it's a process for going through the processes of your business and just checking to ensure that the team are implementing and delivering upon those different aspects, and then understanding what those gaps are. So there's a range of tools that can be used, and it's about gathering that information, because then that needs to be presented to the management team, to the business owner, back to the franchisor, so that they can then make decisions around what we do next. How do we then make improvements going forward?
So this really is a living, breathing set of documents.
That's right. It never ends.
It never ends. It just lives forever.
It lives forever. And that's important, because it's like a breathing ecosystem, and so it's also like spinning plates. So every part of your business, so there's a function. So there's HR, there's sales, marketing, operations, technology. So you've got all these plates that you're spinning. You've got to keep all of those plates spinning. And if one of them crashes to the floor, then that creates an inefficient business. And so when that happens, we need assistance. So either we're able to go in and make the change ourselves, where we could self-correct the business, or get the team to self-correct, or we may need some additional assistance where we're bringing in a coach, or we're bringing in our franchisee consultant to come in and help us get things back on track. And that's really important that you do. And And just going back to franchising, the great thing about being a franchise, all the systems that need to be implemented to make that business work. So if one of those spinning plates has crashed to the floor, then you need help getting it back on track. So you need to keep all of those plates spinning all of the time.
Do you see any trends coming down the pike for processes and systems and how people are keeping these together? And, as far as, the technology of what you offer, do you see any new trends?
Absolutely. The world is changing all the time. One of the biggest trends is around automation and AI. And so within our processes, and it's a great thing about mapping out an end-to-end process, is understanding which parts of that process need to be implemented by people and which parts will be automated with the use of AI or other programmatic means. And again, is inspecting what you expect. So with the AI, you can't have an AI just on a set and forget mode. You have to ensure that it's actually doing all the things that you want it to do, just like you would with team members. And but the trend around AI is one of the biggest opportunities available to us. So if we look at any business, we have revenue generating activities, asset building activities, and then administration. We want to minimize admin as much as possible. And so then we can focus on the other revenue generating and asset building activities. And by doing that, we're growing faster and building a better business faster. So definitely AI and the way that we use AI for training and for just to look up procedure and process for people, for the team to ask questions around, well, what does this procedure mean? Or, explain this little bit here to me, and then have the AI to be able to summarize and communicate what that is. So with Way We Do, we have some AI in our platform right now, which helps organizations document procedures and processes faster. We are implementing more. So we've got a whole strategy around how we're going to be implementing that.
Yeah. And at the same time, your AI is learning. So it's getting that process that is replicable, repeatable over and over. It's learning that and keeping that in its brain, so to speak.
So that is a really good topic. There's a thing called responsible AI. And so we don't want the AI to go rogue and do its own thing. So that's the equivalent of the lone wolf. So the AI in Way We Do, for example, we're not learning from our customers' procedure and process to then teach the AI to then teach others, like other organizations, about your procedure and process. So that's one of the responsible AI policies that we have in place. But you're right that the AI today it does learn, but it's like actually what it has is a memory. It has a memory of what you have done previously, but at this point, it's not AGI. So AGI is when the AI has the ability to think for itself and it's self-improving. So we're not at that stage yet. That's probably like 2 or 3, 4, 10 years away. So we don't know what time frame that's going to be, but it's either going to be very soon or it's within the next 10 years, which is still quite soon. And but today it has a memory, so it can remember what you've done previously, and kind of like it appears as though it's self-learning, but it's not at that point yet.
So it's not going to decide to fix quote unquote your processes and do something a little bit that would be better. It's just based on what it has taken in.
Yes, that's right. And sometimes, AI today still has, it hallucinates, so it's still not perfect. And so you still need people in the mix to ensure that it's doing the right thing.
Absolutely. As somebody in communications and writing, I can't just rely on my friend Jasper to do everything. I have to go through and be like, no, that's not right. But it does save time.
Yeah, absolutely. So it does save time, and what a great opportunity we have to use tools in that way to save time, and particularly around administration or marketing and some of those things that would take hours and hours. So we can now condense that into a shorter period of time. So we can then focus on the things that are much more high value and that are more meaningful to the business.
Very cool. So I have reached the end of my questions. So I would say to you, do you think there's anything that you would tell a franchisee or, somebody who's looking to become a franchisee on, any tricks or tools that they could use for, following these processes or, keeping them fun or even leadership, I would say, because you have quite a bit of leadership expertise as well. So any of those parting words of wisdom?
I would, there's a James Clear quote that I normally have at the end of my presentations, which is, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And what that means, if you do not have systems in place to support your goals, then you're not going to get there. So the fact that you are a franchisee, you've got the system in place that helps you generate repeatable, consistent results. What an amazing opportunity. I'll be following that system, all the way through, and then just verify that it is generating those results. And so I would definitely embrace the opportunity and the system that has been given to you, because that's what's going to help you achieve the goals and the dream that you have for your own life and for your business.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast with Jacqui Jones from Way We Do, a documentation and process software company. I hope you found it insightful, and I've linked the show notes on our website where you can find the name of the book she mentioned, as well as other materials about Way We Do, and a little bit more about Jacqui. So thank you so much for listening, and have a great day. Enjoying the podcast? Leave a review. To otherwise support our podcast, please share and follow us on your favorite streaming platform. You can also visit our website to find show notes and more info on each episode at www.openworksweb.com/podcast. Want to be a guest on an upcoming podcast? Check out the information in the description to apply. We'll see you next time, and remember, keep it clean.